Welcome to SVG-TV News for Wednesday, April 26, 2017. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. Efforts are ongoing to amend some of this country's legislations to build SVG's export capacity and improve its competitiveness among its regional counterparts. At a media conference today held by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Commerce, Trade Officer Okolo John Patrick spoke on the Economic Partnership Agreement, the EPA, initially signed in 2008. According to John Patrick, while the agreement brought about development amongst corporations, the need for the amendment of several acts was identified. She added that this will be done through the EPA Standby Facility Project, which is guided under the theme Building Export Development and Competitiveness in the Services Sector.
Under this project, basically, we'll be looking at amending some of our legislation to include that of the Standards Act, the Fair Trading Act, the free movement of suppliers from the EU, and also our competition. And important to note is a call-down facility, which we also negotiated with this grant to ensure that some of the low-hanging fruits can be implemented. So what this means is that after the strategies have been prepared, there are some funds that will be utilized to help with the implementation.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Trade and Commerce, Sandy Peters-Phillips, maintains that the Standby Facility Project will reap great benefits for this country.
Building export capacity and improving competitiveness in services sector is expected to prepare the services sector to take advantage of the opportunities presented by the EPA. The project outputs, as represented in the 2017 to 2018 budget estimates, includes 1. A legislative amendment consultancy, 2. A services sector strategy and action plan consultancy, a call-down facility to assist the initial implementation of the early harvest initiatives presented in the strategy. Both consultancies have been progressing rapidly. Hence, the purpose of this press conference today is to ensure that the public is fully aware of the developments to date.
Consultancy team leader Natalie Rochester King said there are many opportunities for both men and women in the services sector. However, they need to understand how to make use of these opportunities.
Consulted with a wide range of stakeholders. We have used surveys and other instruments to gather information about what's happening on the ground in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We found that there's room to create more opportunities for both women and men in the workforce and in entrepreneurship. The economy is changing. The use of new technologies allows for remote service provision, via the internet, via mail, courier services, so that persons can be participating in trade and export in unique ways. And our objective is to facilitate that.
Indicating his satisfaction with the 2017 Tax Awareness Month of activities, Comptroller of the Inland Revenue Department, Kelvin Pompey, said the tremendous response received from the taxpaying public signaled that his department is exercising the best measures and practices to provide quality services to taxpayers.
This year, our tax awareness and education period, our month of March, was very successful. I think it was one of the best we have had in quite some time. We had tremendous response from the taxpaying public, and we have had many persons calling about their balances and persons actually coming in and declaring that they have not been filing. And I think it's proof that our awareness and outreach efforts are working. We are going into basically a phase where we are going to have a constant and consistent outreach program, and so we have formalized our taxpayer services and education unit, and they would be on a full-time basis interacting with the general public and the business community in order to ensure that taxpayers are given the necessary tools that they need to comply.
Pointing out that some 75% of taxes were filed using the e-filing system. Pompey said he was pleased by the efforts by the department to utilize such measure to deliver a more efficient service.
Had literally hundreds of persons coming in the last couple of days to get their returns filed electronically. Additionally, we had some problem with the technology in terms of the capacity. We are currently evaluating the issues identified to ensure that even as we go forward, that we are in a better position to serve the taxpayers. First week or so in May, we also should have launched our electronic receipts system, and we are eagerly anticipating this because it means that our taxpayers would be served much more efficiently. There would not be any manual or writing of manual receipts anymore. The receipts would be produced from our computer system. I anticipate that the taxpayers would spend at least a third of the time less in the line.
Outlining that the department has placed emphasis on increasing the compliance level of self-employed persons and sole traders, Pompey noted that he is confident that all sectors will do their very best to comply with the tax legislations.
Assessment is that our message has gone through. We are in the process, as I said, of raising assessments on all individuals and professional self-employed persons who should have filed a return up to 2016 income year. We are actually going through the self-employed list sector by sector, and we are then looking to see who did not file and what period they haven't filed for, and doing the necessary assessments. All at the department, once you receive these assessments, and let us work together in order to ensure that we have an amicable settlement of outstanding taxes. Of course, there are provisions under the Income Tax Act that the department will use for persons who refuse to comply voluntarily, but the department is confident that given our education and outreach effort, that most taxpayers will, I see the wisdom of voluntary complying with the tax system.
There must be reasons other than the arguments presented which prompt residents on the island of Bequia to refuse to pay the environmental levy. That's according to Government Senator and Minister of Transport and Works, Julian Francis, as he spoke on Star FM last evening on various issues of national concern. Speaking on the ongoing row between residents of Bequia and the Central Water and Sewage Authority in relation to unpaid bills, Francis stated Bequia, much like the mainland and other Grenadine islands, benefit from garbage collection services, which aid in keeping the environment clean, and questioned the motives behind the residents' refusal to pay for the service.
And some will pay and not pay the environmental levy. But the people have to, you can't expect that in Bequia and in other places. I understand in Canawan they pick up garbage 3 times a week. In Bequia they pick up twice a week. On mainland St. Vincent they pick up once a week in most places. So you're getting twice the service of a Vincentian on mainland St. Vincent in Bequia, and you still don't want to pay for that service. Garbage used to be all over Bequia before. You used to just dump things in a particular area. I remember it going wrong to Spring. How dirty and smelly and nasty and fireful and flyful. Full of flies all over the place. What is $11 that you can't pay that people in other parts of St. Vincent and the Grenadines must pay? Do we have to therefore run water under the sea and bring it to Bequia and produce a water bill so that you will pay the environmental levy? What is it that is holding this up? Has to be something more than just the arguments that are being presented.
Speaking on the government's efforts to clean up capital city Kingstown, Francis noted that every year vendors continue to leave various offensive items in the city and warned that these items will be removed soon.
I have repeated this before, from carnival to carnival, somebody will come in, they sell out of a freezer this year, and they drive out of town, leave the freezer right there. All right. At Little Tokyo entrance, you have 8 freezers not being used. Little Tokyo exit, you have 3 cats and 1 freezer. Fish Market, 17 cats and 1 freezer. Little Tokyo, beachfront, 8 cats, 6 freezer. Leeward Bus Terminal, 2 cats, 1 freezer. Chinatown, 23 cats, 10 freezer. Lower Bay Street, Korea's Car Park, 4 cats. And Lower Bay Street opposite Randy Supermarket, 1 freezer. In all, there are 90 such offensive items in Kingston. So I'm warning them, whoever own them, they're going to be moved very soon. If it's yours, you want them, go for them now, because they're going to be tongue-board, have instructions already to start to move, and they're moving things.
There must be a change in the attitude of members of society as it relates to alcohol consumption. Speaking on last Sunday's edition of ECT on Easy Radio, Director of the National Commission on Crime Prevention, Nicola Evans, said there are some persons who are determined to make a living regardless if they break the law and do not care much about the impact of their decisions. She said this sort of attitude will create more social ills in the society.
Attitude that has developed where every function somebody buys an icebox, fills it with all types of drinks and specifically alcoholic drinks too, and they do not care who is the person who stands in front of them because their icebox becomes their counter and they stand behind it, and whoever approaches, they have no problem selling to whomever as long as they can pay for their wares. That attitude has to stop, because I mean, I feel the pain right now of us 10 years down the road having to deal with all of these alcoholics and other problems that would emanate from having been practicing to drink alcohol. And just the same, like presently, we seem to be fighting a losing battle regarding the diabetics and the hypertensive. I feel down the road, if we don't put a stop, if we don't reel this in now, we are going to have serious problems.
Head of the Major Crimes Unit, Inspector Atlan Brown, will agree that there must be a change in attitude among the Vincentian public, added that there must also be an education program designed to sensitize persons, particularly the youth, on the dangers of alcohol abuse.
A lot of health risks can also come from that as well. You know, persons will be engaged in antisocial behavior, fights. For example, you can't reason out certain issues, you know. One of the other things is that persons involved in fight, they want to go, they get a criminal record if convicted in court. They want to end up in university, a job, you know, and because of that, they are blocked from these things. And these are the things that we have to inform the youngsters about going forward. So that, to me, the risk should be a part of the policy going forward. We must educate the youngsters about the risk involved as well.
Inspector Brown also called for companies to advertise alcoholic products to also be a part of the sensitization process.
For what I'd like to see is a bit of disclaimer on the use of alcohol. I've noticed one particular company started doing it already when it comes to the advertising on television. But I would like to see going forward in terms of policy, that should be implemented or be a part of whatever advertisement is coming up, because a lot of persons and family members seem to be looking at television around, say, 7:30, 7 o'clock when the news is actually advertising. And when like a particular event is off to you know, like for carnival or whatever it is, they advertise. But I would like to see disclaimer with the use of alcohol. For example, when there is the advertisement of smoking, you would see the Ministry of National Ministry of Health advises that smoking is bad for health. So I would like to see that when it comes to the use of alcohol in policy going forward.
Today, April 26, 2017, marks 500 days since the frontline protesters have been picketing the electoral office as a show of disapproval for the results of the December 2015 general elections. At a media briefing this morning at the site, leader of the frontline protesters, Luzat King, said although many believe that their action is a waste of time, to them it is not, indicating that as citizens they have the constitutional right to express their views in whatever way they wish. King called on persons to show their solidarity for the upcoming election petitions hearing on May 2nd and 4th at the courthouse in Kingstown.
We also believe that the frontline protesters will be vindicated after the court hearing on the election petitions next Tuesday and Thursday, May 2nd and 4th. At this point, we urge all Vincentians to show their solidarity by showing up at the court. The position taken by these petitioners must not be taken lightly. After all, a free and fair election is fundamental to our democracy. Moreover, we shall continue until we see the departure of this ULP regime, which we believe has been the worst thing to have happened to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Meanwhile, former president of the opposition New Democratic Party, Arnim Eustace, commended the frontline protesters for their commitment to democracy and the people of this country.
We come here to show the appreciation that I feel about the commitment they have displayed to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, not just the New Democratic Party. The commitment they have displayed to tell people, you don't have to be afraid. We are standing up and stand up here every day. It may not be a large crowd, but you can't forget them. And I want to, on behalf of the party, to say our thanks and our continuing thanks for what they have done on our behalf in many ways. When I hear our behalf, not just the party, the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, by keeping this issue alive.
Delegates as catalysts for change. That's how newly appointed Beauty Shows Committee Coordinator Lafon Fraser referenced to this year's Miss SVG contestants who are busy preparing for the upcoming pageant. According to Fraser, the contestants this year being provided with the platform to bring about change in the society as they will be advocating on several social issues. Nalisha Miller has more in this report.
Feminism, which is for everyone. It is not just for males, not against males, sorry. It is not just for females, and we are not anti-male. Feminism is for all. We have advocacy against emotional verbal abuse, because abuse is not just physical. Words hurt as well and have severe consequences. Rising above our circumstances, whatever they are, we can do it. Loving our natural selves, starting by loving our hair. And women against unhealthy competition. Instead, women are for within gender support. So those are some of the issues the contestants themselves will be advocating for or against.
These, along with the protection of youth by advocating strongly against incest and sexual abuse, are some of the social issues the 2017 Miss SVG contestants will be focusing on for the pageant's first ever Woman Empowerment Campaign. According to the newly appointed Beauty Shows Committee Coordinator Lafon Fraser, this year the 7 contestants have been offered a platform to bring about change.
We have begun our school tour. We are looking at visiting schools with the heaviest populations to really carry out to do our campaigning, right? Our empowerment campaign. We've begun with the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College. We have visited 3 of its 4 divisions, and the contestants were very well received. And of course, they're going to get even better as they continue to talk more and more at different schools. We are asking principals of the secondary schools to be speedy in their responses in terms of letting us know what dates we can come by.
In regards to the actual show set to be staged on Saturday, June 3rd, Fraser indicated the inclusion of an all-inclusive VIP section.
This year we're having an all-inclusive paid VIP section. That's a difference in this year's Miss SVG pageant, and we believe we're going to have people fighting for those tickets. Of course, it can't be tremendously huge in its capacity, but we'll try to make everybody happy. So, of course, that will have the best seating, the best view of the stage, the best experience, because you will be not comforted by hors d'oeuvres and cocktails and ambience that is quite different to what you're used to when you enter the Victoria Park for the Miss SVG show.
In an effort to provide an entertainment-valued event, the Beauty Shows Committee coordinator said tireless efforts are ongoing to put on a quality show.
We're also working toward a shorter production on the night of the show. Traditionally, the Miss SVG pageant has been really lengthy and for legitimate reasons, but we've been doing some investigating and we've been trying to change up a couple of things so that the production is shorter and patrons can be more comfortable and be more entertained. When it's too drawn out, the entertainment value declines, so we want to change that.
Gracing the stage this year for the prestigious Miss SVG 2017 title are Brianna Hathaway, Miss Quick Cash, Dorisian Laborde, Miss Kendra's Aluminum Products Limited, Nicolene Lewis, Miss Mustique Company Limited, Brittany Oliver, Miss Agricultural Import Warehouse, Crystal Oliver, Miss Jurgens, Jamel Roberts, Miss Flo, and LaDonna York, Miss Metrocent Insurance Limited. Nolisha Miller, The Evening News.
Thank you, Nolisha. Aimed at encouraging excellence among Vincentian producers and service providers, the Best of SVG campaign, a People's Choice Awards initiative, will officially recognize the individuals and companies whom Vincentians have termed to be the best in the country in various categories at a ceremony slated for Sunday, April 30th at the SVG Community College, Avila Campus Lecture Theatre. Hosted by Interactive Media Limited in collaboration with Rebel Media, the campaign, which ran from February 3rd to March 3rd, offered some 115 categories, giving Vincentians the freedom to vote for who or what they deem to be the best. Nikita Tony tells us more in this report.
And to give recognition to local entities and entrepreneurs for the products and services they provide to the Vincentian public, the Best of SVG 2017 campaign has been deemed successful and will on Sunday, April 30th, present outstanding individuals and businesses with their well-deserved awards. The campaign, hosted by the Interactive Media Limited and Rebel Media, joined the ranks of similar campaigns held across the world that aim to encourage the public to embrace their culture and services being provided to them, as well as encourage excellence among local businesses and entrepreneurs. Pointing out that the campaign sought to include the participation of persons across SVG, Operations Director of Rebel Media, Karen Ferdinand, outlined that while the level of overall participation could have been better, the campaign certainly achieved its aim and will be back for 2018 and beyond.
Looking at where we get good service, where we have great people, where people are providing food, drinks, whatever it may be, and are the best in their field. People wanted to get involved. They were really, really interested and really enthusiastic about the campaign. They really wanted something like this. And I had a lady in Georgetown actually say to me, "This is what's missing." It always could have been better. And you always, with hindsight, look back and go, we could have done things differently, and we definitely will next year.
Highlighting that persons have praised the campaign for its efforts to celebrate Vincentian products, showcase Vincentian talent, as well as promote Vincentian culture, CEO of Interactive Media Limited, Claire Keyser, pointed out that the move to instill no criteria to any category gave persons the opportunity to recognize the well-established businesses, along with those which have not yet made a name for themselves. She further outlined a few changes to the campaign as they go on to provide an even greater avenue for showcasing the best of SVG.
We want this to be a genuine People's Choice Awards, so that's why we left it completely open, and the results of the poll introduced us to some businesses we didn't even know existed. Try to make it clearer what we mean by particular categories. We will drop quite a few and include some others because we have had a lot of feedback from people who provide different services and businesses, and we will include some new ones next year. We'll try to get the ballots out earlier in the year at the beginning of January, and hopefully we would be able to give the top nominees more time before the award ceremony next year.
Promised to be an exciting evening of the showcasing and appreciation of the best of SVG, Keyser noted that persons can expect nothing less than extraordinary at Sunday's grand award ceremony.
The top 3 nominees and the winners are all recognized and given some recognition and feel really special. We appreciate their presence, and they in turn are turning up to show appreciation to the people of St. Vincent the Grenadines who voted for them. Top-notch entertainers, we have Chanel McKenzie, we have Hans John, we have Rodney Small, and our headliner is the fabulous Skinny Fabulous. It's $20 if you go now and get your ticket at Singer or at Searchlight, but if you pay at the door, it will be $25.
Sunday's Red Carpet event is scheduled to run from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. and will also feature the draw for $1,000 as one lucky voter will be awarded for their participation in naming SVG's best products, producers, and service providers. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.